Greetings, memory hole dwellers. I am Patrick Smith. Welcome back to Disenthrall. We have an ongoing, as we speak, developing situation concerning the world's largest video platform, YouTube. Demonetization, censorship, taking stuff down, succumbing, bending knee to left-wing cry bullies. This is a massive, massive dumpster fire that is blazing as we speak, so there will probably be developments as I'm talking, and we'll have to see where it goes. It all started a week or two ago with Carlos Maza. He is a dude that does a lot of video production for Vox Media. Vox is a severely left-wing social justice bent organization that has done a lot of really terribly wrong content that I've even several times considered doing rebuttals to. Only there's so little there's like so little actual arguments in the videos that they put out sometimes that it's even difficult to rebut because it would just be equivalent to sword fighting a fart. This guy is the face in a lot of the videos that I'm talking about. Steven Crowder is a Republican commentator that most of you are probably familiar with from his videos called Change My Mind, the whole Change My Mind meme. Crowder actually takes time out of his day to do rebuttal videos to this guy, this platform Vox's inane garbage. And, Steven Crowder also considers himself somewhat of a comedian. I consider that neither here nor there, but as part of some of his jokes, he's been mean. He's used mean words to describe Carlos Maza, which has caused Maza recently to go about one hell of a campaign, not against Steven Crowder as much, but against YouTube itself, which has basically endangered anyone on the entire YouTube platform that isn't making benign, boring, nothing burger content. Anybody that's covering news, anyway, we'll get into that. He's bringing about a new adpocalypse, and we're going to talk about that. And I'm going to have some things to say that's probably going to make people on every single side of this issue angry. This is from June 4th.
A lot of people have talked about this way before I did and have experienced it way worse than I have. YouTube is dominated by alt-right monsters who use the platform to target their critics and make their lives miserable. It's been happening for a long time. It's been happening since way before me. The response from people who've experienced this is, yeah, I agree. To hell with YouTube. I can't believe they're branding themselves as Pride allies. And I heard you have Raymond Brown coming up later on the show. I hope you ask him what it's like to make basically corporate propaganda for a company that doesn't care about queer people. The response from critics, people who love Steven Crowder, have been that I'm a fascist and I'm an NBC plant trying to take down a competitor, which is like so dumb. I don't know what to say to it. But it's meant to distract from the reality, which is that Steven Crowder is not the problem. Alex Jones isn't the problem. These individual actors are not the problem. They are symptoms and the product of YouTube's design, which is meant to reward the most inflammatory, bigoted, and engaging performers. Steven Crowder is YouTube's ideal creator. He makes cheap, long content that tons of people watch and subscribe to. He sells shirts on the platform that say socialism is for fags, which YouTube continues to allow. He is what an ideal YouTube creator looks like, and YouTube's branding about caring about queer people is meant to distract advertisers from the fact that they have no handle on their platform, and that people who run ads on YouTube are going to end up having their ads appear on videos with hate speech and bigoted harassment of queer people and marginalized communities.
I kind of predicted when this story broke, when this cry bully started, hitting his fainting couch and screaming and flailing his arms around like a small child that can't take an insult. First of all, if you choose to be a public figure, you are going to get called names. You're going to have people talk crap about you. You're going to have people outright just bald-faced lie about things you've done, things you've said, positions you've held. I am nobody in the scope of the world, and this has already happened to me numerous times. And generally, I find that when I call these people out and I say, look, here's where you're wrong, and challenge them to prove what, their lies about me, they can't do it. I ask them to, recant, or ask them to retract their false claims, and they refuse, and it doesn't matter. There's nothing I can do. And that's fine. Like, people are going to mouth off against public figures. And you have to just expect that as a grown-up, as an adult. This guy is not, he's like in high school. He's in elementary school. And just like most statist brains who consider the government a parental figure, rather than bucking up and handling business or just rising above it, having a little bit of a grown-up adult thick skin about stupid people and the things that stupid people say about you as a public figure, he runs to the government. In this case, it would be, the government of YouTube. Hey, this guy's hurting my feelings with the mean words. Make him stop. And if you don't, then, you endorse that. And then it's like you're saying the words. And then he goes to the advertisers and he's like, do you support, everything that YouTube supports, which, by inaction, YouTube supports everything any, mean people say about me? This is so stupid. I remember a long time ago when I would watch Bill O'Reilly. I remember this was a long time ago. There were a couple like adpocalypses for Bill O'Reilly's show, right? They had advertisers would pull out because the leftist cry bullies would come after the advertisers and say, why are you advertising on Bill O'Reilly's show? Do you support this hate speech that, these hateful, terrible positions that Bill O'Reilly supports? Well, you do if you advertise on his show. You're telling all the people watching O'Reilly's show that sees your ads that you support that stuff. I disagree with that completely. If I see a commercial on top or an ad on top of some content that I'm watching, it's not connected. It's not related. It's people trying to advertise their product to an audience of people they think might want to buy from them. It's not an endorsement of the content on the platform. If a commercial in a commercial break for a TV show is not an endorsement of everything done and said in the TV show, that's like an elementary childlike interpretation of the situation. But the state of Twitter politics is you have these leftist cry bully outrage mobs. Every time they see somebody doing something they don't like and they realize that they can't just, bully and cry and complain enough to get that person to shut up and stop doing what they don't like or talking about what they don't personally like or think they should talk about. When they don't stop like they're told, then they go to the platform and they go to the advertisers and they apply all this stupid social pressure to all these companies. And these companies capitulate. YouTube, full of a lot of SJW's activists itself, being a California-based Google dumpster fire, capitulates generally all the time to every miniature cry bully mob that comes its way. Companies with products generally, this is a general statement. There are certainly exceptions on both sides. There are right-leaning, out and out companies like Chick-fil-A, and there are left-leaning companies like Gillette that just, want to involve politics with their products in the marketplace. Or at least they want to involve political statements with their products in the marketplace. But by and large, most companies want to stay politically agnostic for obvious reasons. The moment you take a political stand, you cut your customer base right down the middle. You just instantly bifurcate your customer base, which is a great way to go out of business. It's the fastest way to just cut your income in half that you can imagine. And so that's why these cry bully mobs tend to work, is because the moment a controversy starts popping up, negative press falls on a company trying to do some advertising, the easiest and the no shit solution is to just stop advertising with that person, at least until stuff blows over and they can continue on with their ad campaign later. It's not an endorsement. It's just advertising. That's it. So then the next thing that happened surprised me. It took me off guard. For the first time ever, YouTube responded. They investigated Steven Crowder and didn't take his entire channel down. They said, thanks again for taking the time to share all this information with us. We take allegations of harassment very seriously. We know this is important. It impacts a lot of people. Our team spent the last few days conducting an in-depth review of the videos flagged to us, and while we found language that was clearly hurtful, the videos, as posted, don't violate our policies. We've included more info below to explain this decision. As an open platform, it's crucial for us to allow everyone, from creators to journalists to late-night TV hosts, to express their opinions within the scope of our policies. Opinions can be deeply offensive, but if they don't violate our policies, they'll remain on our site. Even if a video remains on our site, it doesn't mean we endorse or support that viewpoint. Obviously. There are other aspects of the channel that we're still evaluating. We'll be in touch with any further updates. So I saw this and I was like, for the first time, impressed by YouTube. I was excited by YouTube. I was happy about the YouTube platform. I'm like, wow, there is a line that they won't cross. There is something, they just won't be cry bullied off of any semblance of a reasonable neutral position as a platform for content producers to publish to. Boy, was I wrong. So all this did was to just work up the left crybully mob into a frenzy. Every left-wing media outlet in the freaking known universe, it seems like, covered this with headlines like YouTube refuses to defend LGBTQ community from hate speech and harassment and blah, blah, blah. And so what happens? We get a little update from YouTube. They say, update on our continued review. We have suspended this channel's monetization. The entire channel. We came to this decision because a pattern of egregious actions has harmed the broader community and is against our YouTube partner program policies. More here, and they link to an article from a couple months ago that doesn't really say anything new. Basically, the crybully mob won again. And this time, at least they didn't delete his entire channel. They just completely demonetized him. Now, we'll get to that more in a minute. To clarify, because, you know, this answer was still not good enough for Carlos Maza. So demonetizing the entire channel on YouTube was still not good enough because they're trying to go after Crowder's income because they don't like what he says. These children can't handle somebody holding an opinion and saying words that they don't like. And so they're not going to be satisfied until Crowder is broke and homeless or something. Childlike, infantile, just little kids, man. They can't stand somebody disagreeing with them. So this still wasn't good enough. And the last thing YouTube says is to clarify, in order for him to reinstate monetization on this channel, he'll need to remove the link to his t-shirts. Crowder has a t-shirt. He's got a t-shirt that is a joke. Let me show you. Socialism is for figs. So it's making fun of socialists, like a lot of the people that work for Vox. Probably like this guy. I'm pretty sure he would identify as a socialist. It says for figs. It even has a little picture of a fig. It's clearly a joke. It's clearly a joke. This is obviously a joke. But jokes can be hate speech to these people. This is unacceptable. There are plenty of people on this extreme left, on this far left now, that would take this as a justification for actual real-world violence. So the story doesn't stop there, folks. They've now released a press release saying that they plan on deleting thousands of YouTube channels, thousands of accounts that it considers supremacist, conspiracy theorists, and other harmful users. They say, today we're taking another step in our hate speech policy by specifically prohibiting videos alleging that a group is superior in order to justify discrimination, segregation, or exclusion based on qualities like age, gender, race, caste, religion, sexual orientation, or veteran status. It wrote in a blog post, they'll begin enforcing this updated policy today. However, it'll take time for our systems to fully ramp up. It will also alter its algorithm in an attempt to stop certain kinds of misleading and harmful videos, such as those promoting fake miracle cures or the flat earth hoax. They'll stop being recommended in YouTube's Up Next sidebar. It also said it would work harder to stop YouTube users promoting harmful content from receiving ad money. Channels that, quote, repeatedly brush up against its hate speech policies will be suspended from the company's partner program. The openness of, quote, the openness of YouTube's platform has helped creativity and access to information thrive. It's our responsibility to protect that and prevent our platform from being used to incite hatred, harassment, discrimination, and violence. We are committed to taking the steps needed to live up to this responsibility today, tomorrow, and in the years to come. They did not give any specific examples of accounts that would be removed. It noted that some of the accounts are useful to researchers and said it would try to work on ways of making sure they stay available. It also said the change would not affect videos that are discussing, quote, pending legislation that aim to condemn or expose hate or provide analysis of current events. Okay, so they're going to leave small independent journalist type channels alone? Well, then this happened. I see this from Steven Crowder. I'm, checking out what's going on. We see a channel by an independent journalist get demonetized. Interesting. I see the name, Ford Fischer. I realize, I think I'm friends with this guy on Facebook. He runs a media outlet called News2Share. He says, within minutes of YouTube's announcement of a new purge, it appears they caught my outlet, which documents activism and extremism in the crossfire. He was just notified that his entire channel has been demonetized. He's a journalist whose work is used in dozens of documentaries. And if you look at his channel, News2Share, it looks like he shows up to a lot of protests and things like that and documents what goes on there. Some pretty dangerous stuff at times. Demonetized. Sorry. You don't get access to YouTube's ad revenue, ad partnerships anymore. Okay, now, something I want to say. We as content creators, have become spoiled and lazy. YouTube has reached out through Google's clout and relationships with advertising, has built a huge platform of eyeballs, and has made that platform of eyeballs available to people that want to advertise. They have massive relationships with thousands and thousands of companies that want to advertise their stuff. Those relationships are with YouTube, Google, Alphabet, and the people that want to advertise. Those relationships are not with us, the content creators. We have nothing to do with it. We deserve no credit, really, even at all, for the relationships that YouTube has with these people. Now, granted, we are the ones that create the content that the eyeballs watch. And in exchange for that, and to encourage that, YouTube offers to have a relationship with us. And it says, look, we will give you access to what is possibly the world's largest pool of people wanting to advertise and wanting to pay you for the eyeballs that you generate. Here are our terms. Now, the terms that they give are kind of crappy. We don't get a very large portion of the money. We don't get... We have a long list of rules that we have to agree to that include a bunch of SJW nonsense, and don't make extremist content, don't make conspiracy theorist content, don't call gay Mexicans bad names like Crowder did, don't link to t-shirt stores with shirts joking about socialism being for figs. Don't do that stuff. That's the agreement. That's the deal that you make to get access to the world's largest pool of advertisers. If you want a piece of this pie, those are the rules. And they are 100% in the right to ask for that voluntary agreement with us. The content creators, the eyeball gatherers, the eyeball attractors. Fine. I don't have to like it, but I don't have to publish to YouTube if I don't like it. I make almost, like my channel, I make almost nothing, like a few bucks a month from the YouTube partner ad revenue. It's like almost nothing. It doesn't incentivize me. It doesn't disincentivize me. It's just, maybe eventually it'll add up to something that I can buy some additional equipment to make the show a little bit better. And if it does, it does. And if it doesn't, it doesn't. And if I get demonetized, I honestly don't care. But if I had already grown to a large enough size to where I was paying people, because I would love to be able to pay producers, I would love to have producers that help me create content, and I would love to be able to pay editors to help me edit content, because that would free me up to create a ton more content. I would love to grow in that way. But if I grew based on money that I got from them, then I would be dependent on that money, which would make me bound to their rules, which would mean that when I needed to make content that broke those rules, I endanger the money that I need to run this operation. My point being that before this large platform came along and made this business model a thing, it was just a known given that if you wanted to be a content creator that didn't want to be subject to the rules of a platform relationship, like a platform relationship you have with YouTube, that you had to self-found. You had to make your own website. You had to self-publish your content. You had to find your own audience. You didn't get the massive benefit of an up next and watch and recommended, things to watch next bar on the right side of your videos. You didn't get into any of that benefit. You had to find your own audience. You had to do your own advertising. You had to find your own sponsors and your own revenue. You had to do that all yourself. Content creators haven't had to do that for years, for the most part. And now that they realize that, this agreement that we have to follow is starting to, get a little bit more restrictive, they're starting to feel the pain of that. And they're starting to realize that, look, you got to do this on your own. You have to beg people. You have to remind people, look, we have a Patreon. Look, we have a Subscribe Star and a Bitbacker. And then we do live streams where you can do super chats. If you want to support this content, you got to support this content. You can't depend on the ad revenue from YouTube to grow channels like this one now or before, really not even before, or in the future, especially now. I think it's going to get worse. So both the content creators have gotten lazy and the viewers, me as a viewer, I've gotten lazy. I'm used to not having to pay for the content that I want to see anymore. Hell, 10 years ago, I had to pay a cable bill and I had to subscribe to cable packages to get access to the shows I wanted. That was paying for the shows that I wanted, and the shows got a piece of that money, which funded the show. But now I've gotten lazy as a viewer. I don't have to do that anymore. I just fire up YouTube and, I have a YouTube Red subscription. So whoever's videos I watch that's monetized or that's a YouTube partner, they get a piece of my money and, they get a little piece of that YouTube Red subscription. And, that helps their channel in a tiny, tiny way. And the only channels that make any kind of money at all are the ones that have, millions of views. But as a viewer, we're lazy. As content creators, we're lazy. Or lucky, lazy. We don't have to do a lot of work. We get easy access to eyeballs and easy access to, most of the time small ad revenue. So my point is, YouTube is fully in the right to do whatever trashy stuff it wants, to make whatever stupid rules it wants, because it's in the position that it's got something that, we'd like to have. As much as I'd like to not publish to YouTube anymore, that's still where most of the people that I want to reach with my activism exist. So I'm not going to stop publishing here. That's probably going to end up with this entire channel getting demonetized at some point. So I just got to remind you as viewers that if we want content like this and like others, like Eric July, for example, other good content out there, other activists that are out there, we got to stop being lazy as viewers, and we got to find ways to actually support them directly. And I, as a content creator, have to make sure that I've provided really good ways, easy ways, painless ways for you to support me. And so I'm going to be working harder on that as we go forward, and maybe we can talk about that another time. I want to end this video with a light at the end of the tunnel, a little thing, a little story from this morning. I came in, this is the Dissenter web browser made by the people that make Gab. And I want to illustrate something important. There are cracks forming in the monolithic, monopolistic structures that are YouTube, Google, Facebook, and all this, and all this, monopolized constriction of what you're allowed to see. So I open up my Dissenter browser, and I get the new tab page. And the new tab page on the Dissenter browser lists like the hottest topics on Dissenter at the moment. What's getting the most comments and discussion on Dissenter? The Dissenter being the extension that allows you to basically enter comments on any web page URL on the internet. It means you're no longer bound by the discussion and rules and banning and censorship of YouTube and Facebook and all these other massive left-wing corporations. And I see, as you can see here on the left, we have a YouTube video that's at the top of Dissenter's comments. Like it has more, it's like the hottest topic right now above anything else, except that it appears the YouTube link is broken. So I'm like, oh, that's interesting. Let's click on that. Well, it turns out that you can't. This video has been taken down by somebody. I think it was YouTube. I've kind of done some talking, some asking around about it. It looks like this video was taken down. Have no idea what this video is, but I'm interested. I wouldn't have known this video was taken down had I not had this browser and this extension and this little tiny light at the end of the tunnel of, free speech and free association. It turns out this was a Sargon of Akkad video. And there's a big conversation about this video. Turns out it was taken down. Well, how do I see this video if it was taken down? Well, luckily somebody linked the BitShoot link for this video so that we could still watch the video. And so I click over here and I see that it's a commentary on this insanity going on where they're doing a straight pride march somewhere. And this is Sargon spending 11 minutes basically poking fun and laughing at all sides involved. He's laughing at the people organizing what is obviously like a troll event for straight pride, a straight pride march. And he's also poking fun and laughing at the left-wing crybullies that are losing their entire minds over these people. Like they're being trolled and they're allowing themselves to be trolled. And there's really nothing in this video that was that I don't even think violated YouTube's rules. I mean, maybe not for monetization, but certainly not to be taken down. Well, I wouldn't have even known this thing existed without Dissenter. But I have Dissenter, I have the Dissenter browser. And so I was able to see, and I noticed that, this guy is literally being censored. But here we have another platform. We have BitShoot. We have Dissenter. We have other options now. And I just wanted to remind you guys that most of the videos that I publish also get published over onto the Disenthrall BitShoot channel. So if our videos ever get taken down, they probably won't get taken down from all the platforms that we publish to. And so it's important as viewers to stop being so lazy and stop using, like, I use YouTube for 99% of all my viewing. I'm another lazy viewer, so I'm not talking to people that aren't me. I'm talking to myself too. Me, need to stop being lazy and start subscribing to channels on other platforms besides YouTube. So if you go to, I guess I'll close it out by saying that if you go to the website, disenthrall.me/platforms, you can find out all the places that we publish to. And if you choose one that you prefer, subscribe to us there, even as a backup for when Facebook and YouTube delete our channels someday. At least you'll be ready. At least we won't lose our connection to you and you won't lose your connection to us. YouTube has the right to do this stuff. It's sad and stupid that they're allowing themselves to be bullied and succumb to the bullying of these children that can't handle being called a few names as one of the largest public figures in the world. Millions of subscribers, millions of followers. Yet they're so thin-skinned and glass-hearted that they have to run to mommy Google, mommy YouTube to save them. And they have to attack people's income stream of people that they don't like to silence them. They can't stomach dissenting opinions. Shout out to Dissenter. So, the last thing I'll say is if you're not using the Dissenter browser or the Dissenter extension, I would suggest switching. I'm really watching the Gab team right now. They're forking a lot of other stuff to provide alternatives. And there's a lot of alternatives coming out. And I'm going to talk about them for your benefit, mine, and the world's benefit. And then the last thing I'll say is remember, let's stop being lazy. Let's go out of our way to directly support the people whose content we appreciate and whose content we value. And me as a viewer and you as a viewer, let's stop being lazy and let's look for other platforms beside YouTube to consume our content on. And content creators, let's stop being lazy and stop, getting sucked into being used to Google doing all the work for us to provide a free and easy income stream and then feeling entitled to it when they take it away. Let's do our own work. Let's make our websites. Let's provide other ways for people to contribute to our platforms. Thanks for watching.